Can't play any more of that because I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. But baby, it is Halloween. It is Spooktober season. And God damn it. I don't know what to tell you guys. I do not know what to tell you. Colts Nation, you had a good shot. He gave you a lot of games to try and make it right, but I'm always right. I can't. It's a sickness. I know football. I know ball. That's one thing that I can walk out and I can say for a fact. I know ball, and I knew that Anthony Richardson was not going to be able to last, and it was played out last weekend. It now comes full circle. He has been benched. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the Halloween edition of the Far End of the Bench podcast. I am Jimmy Pilato. I am giving you the center of attention. I'm taking a little bit of a victory lap. Let's might as well pull it up here. Obviously that was the last thing that I kind of really talked about with the Colts. I went viral. They decided to come at me. They were going at me on everything, Twitter. They're calling out my teaching. They were saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that you're allowed to be in front of kids." Let's see. Well, I got one right here that says, "Oh, never mind. They got deleted. You guys don't even have the balls to keep them. I had them all bookmarked and you deleted them. Oh my goodness. Anthony Richardson sucked. Absolutely sucked. And I get that everybody else gets the reason to tap out. You know why quarterbacks can't tap out? Because they are given every opportunity. They are given every rule. You have every single thing you could possibly want. They're trying to force you to be the starting quarterback and be the face of the franchise, Anthony Richardson. They want you to be the Colts guy. Can you tap out? You tap your little head? Oh, I'm tired. I just ran too much. Well, you know what? You wouldn't run so much if you could read a goddamn defense. You could throw the ball with higher than a 30% completion rate. I'm not even going to talk about the games and the weight and everything like that. That's what people decided to go at me for in the beginning of the season. You know exactly how I feel about you, but it's just bad quarterback play. You got one throw every game where he's going to out throw the safety and the receiver is going to get behind. Other than that, he is god awful. He is the worst quarterback in the NFL. He should have been benched a couple weeks ago, but they're not smart enough to do something like that. They can't do that. So I guess they're going to have to do it now, and we're going to see what happens with this Colts team moving forward. But Anthony Richardson, you will probably hear his name coming up later on when we get to the end of the show. I can tell you right now, I am enjoying the hell out of this. I love being right. That's Center of Attention, episode 204, Halloween edition, coming your way next.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
The class.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Halloween episode. No, I'm not an alien in general, but I do occasionally like to look at claws, is all I'm going to say. So, happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Episode 204, Jimmy Pilato, Niko Bryant coming at you at FEOTV Pod. Subscribe, like the channel. Everybody's been chiming in the comment section. If you're going to try and come at us, beware, because I told you about it in the Center of Attention. Beware. I will let you know about it when you're wrong, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then you can leave your negative comment. Let's go back and forth at it. But glad you are here with us. Glad that we are celebrating yet another Halloween. This is Halloween number 4 because we started the show in October. So we got the early Halloween. Now this is Halloween number 4. We've dressed up. You had the clown makeup on. Was it last year? That was an interesting one. I decided to go all out this year, and I grew my ponytail back. Right.
That's I hope for your sake you didn't. But yeah, last year I'm still getting that red paint off of some of my clothes. I hate it. I still hate it. I still find that little
bold move to wear it with a Jokic jersey,
with a Jokic jersey and a white jacket. I'm still trying to get that stuff out, unfortunately. So yeah, this year went a little bit easier. A little onesie, a little Rocket Toy Story. If you're just listening to this on Spotify, whatever, Apple Music, whatever, go to the YouTube. You'll see the idiocy that me and Jimmy look like right now.
We got to post pictures.
We do this every Halloween.
Yeah, we got to post pictures. I'll send you a picture of me because I took a picture to try and show everybody. I'm like discount. I put it here. My Niko's the Claws #1 fan. I'm Hardy. I'm like Walmart Hardy. I'm the guy that you go into, you're like at a shitty dive bar in Nashville and like, oh yeah, Hardy's playing. And you're like watching from the way back. You're like, I don't think, is that No, that's definitely not. That's a plus size version of Hardy if I've ever seen one, but here we are. And speaking of Halloween, we are going to kick things off. Speaking of that holiday, and we'll get into the sports and everything later. We got a lot of football to talk about, college and NFL. We'll get to our segments, everything like that. The pick'em is tightening up. I will give you a little hint. The lead is down to 3 games. It was a good weekend for the both of us, but the lead has been cut to 3. Starting off Halloween, though, we are going top candy, top costume, and top character. But before we get into it, I want to ask, does it have to be a costume that we've worn or a costume that we wish we could have worn?
I am gonna go with costume that I've seen recently that I've never seen before, because I've seen some on my TikTok page. I don't know why I'm still on TikTok, but I am. I've seen some on Twitter, and I have one that I just saw that blew me away, that I just am so enthralled with. So that's what I'll do with costume, because it's something that we'll talk about when we get there, but it's very, very different, and I think it's very cool.
No, I think that's fair. I'll probably go with something that I've worn, but something that you can do multiple variations of, because I've done that. And then top character is going to be like top horror movie villain. There's a lot of them to pick from. Horror movies are kind of back over the last few years, and now people are going back to the theaters. I don't know if I know that you're not a horror movie fan.
Absolutely not.
Are you aware of the Terrifier franchise, though?
No,
that's been going around.
The only horror franchise that I know is Jurassic Park and it, and that's as far as I'm going to go.
So I know I already know who your character is going to be, but that'll be fun, because I'll bring a little bit. I don't know why, but I get down these weird YouTube rabbit holes. There's a channel that only shows you like the kills, and the guy's kind of funny, so I get to watch like a scary movie in an abridged version with jokes. It's better for me. I am a little bit of a fraidy cat. I'm a little bit of a what was that? I scared myself shitless. In high school, we had to read The Shining for one of my classes, and I swear to God, I slept with the lights on in my room at 18 years old. I have no shame in admitting that. You want me to kick things off, or you got a candy in mind? We're starting with candies.
So new candy this year, not necessarily new, but one that is really that obviously, look, I travel during the summer. My guys eat candy like it's nothing else, and I have to buy packs and packs of high chews like nothing else. But a candy because I don't think high chews is necessarily a candy. I think it's more of like a healthy little treat, sweet treat.
Dumb, yeah.
Treat. The other candy that I am asked for every single weekend that I got hooked on, because I'm a big Nerds fan in general. The Nerds.
Oh, I know what you're
Nerds gummy clusters. The Nerds gummy clusters, massive new thing that happened in the last 2 years, and I'm hooked. I'm hooked. It's so easy. Just toss them in your mouth and just suck on them. And they're very, very good. It's like having a whole wad of Nerds in your mouth, and it just sits there. It's wonderful. Nerds gummy clusters, one of my top candies this year. Incredible.
That's been one that's because I get candy for my classes, because they're like dogs, and if you give them a treat at the end of what they're doing, then they learn a little bit better. But the nerd clusters are one that's like, did you get nerd clusters? Did you get nerd clusters? No, I did not get nerd clusters. I got the staples. I got the classics, which is what I'm going with. It's one that it's basic, but I feel like the basic choice sometimes isn't always the wrong choice. But a Kit Kat, because think about it when you were trick or treating. What did you always, if you wanted something specific, what did you use as your leverage? A Kit Kat. What did you always have that everybody else wanted? A Kit Kat. What did you always fight over with your friends? Do you break the Kit Kat before you eat it, or do you just take a bite out of it like a serial killer? That's been something that's going around my class, but I literally buy 3 different types of candy, and if one of them is Kit Kat, that's the only thing anybody's picking. Like, okay, you got the question right. What do you want? A Kit Kat? Do you want something else? No, I'll take 2 Kit Kats if you're offering, though. I'm not offering. I'm not made of money here. Candy's expensive, except for Friday. By the way, teachers, little hack. If you use candy in your classroom, go to the store on Friday. Get the discount candy, just like Valentine's. Who cares that you're giving your kids chocolate hearts and Hershey's Kisses? I like Kit Kats. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm sure it's basic. I'm sure. You went with
Kit Kats weren't always my number one. Everyone, like the last couple of years, I've always said Snickers, and I've always said Jolly Ranchers are up there. Sweet Tarts are always up there. I'm a big guy that doesn't like Reese's. I think Reese's are very overrated. So I've always liked the Kit Kat bars. So the Kit Kats are not, they're not the ones I first pick out. Don't get me wrong, but they are ones that are devoured in the first day. That's for sure.
They're ones that you're not trading willy-nilly. If you're trading a Kit Kat, you're getting something in return. like a soda. That the Kit Kat can get traded for a soda. Kit Kat can get traded for equal, but not lesser value. Something equal or greater than. Top costume. I'll let you start with this one. What have you seen recently?
My top costume, I'm going to try to find this guy's name while I look it up because I found this on TikTok. It was a Mr. Larson cosplay. For those that don't know, one of the greatest movies of all time, Adam Sandler, Mr. Larson, or with Adam Sandler, Happy freaking Gilmore. This guy played a whole round of 18 rounds of golf where he had the helmet with a nail stuck in his head. The whole guns don't kill people, guns kill people shirt, orange bright shirt. He was 6'5", and he played a round of golf and took a shot every single one. It was fantastic. And this is coming back, obviously, with Adam Sandler and the whole Happy Gilmore crew, Shooter McGavin coming back with Happy Gilmore 2 coming out next year. And you bet your ass that Happy Gilmore 2 will be on my TV screen the second it's available. So seeing that, I was like, damn, that's really solid. So it's an underrated one. I went with an underrated one that I was just blown away by because it's very, very unique and an only niche audience. You know. And I saw that and I was like, damn, that's solid. The nail in the head. If I was creative enough, I wish I could have done something like that, but I was very impressed.
Yeah, I can't find the guy that's dressing up like it, but just so that if you're watching, you have a reference. If you've never seen the movie, what are you doing? Go watch that movie because it's incredible.
One of the greatest of all time.
Especially the Mr. Larson bit because it goes back to like the very beginning when Happy gets his ass kicked by the boss, and then he's the guy's favorite person, the guy in the orange shirt. He gets a nail in the head at the beginning of the movie from Happy Gilmore. So I like that one. I haven't seen that one going around, but that one would be pretty solid. As a teacher, I like the throwback ones. I like when the kids dress in the throwbacks. Last year, somebody came with a can that just said "Save Ferris" on it, which was awesome. He was one of the kids from the Ferris Bueller's High School, which it fit for him because he's kind of like a wallflower anyways. He's like, I don't want to be Ferris. I don't want to be Cameron. I'll be one of the side characters that collects money for Ferris. So, okay, cool. That was awesome. I'm going with Superman. It's basic, but I did go with Superman for quite a bit of time. And when my mom listens, she used to draw the little curl with a Sharpie on my forehead, which is obviously why I'm still drawing on myself with Sharpie for Halloween costumes. But you can also go as Clark Kent. You can go in the red shirt with the black and your Superboy, your Connor Kent. Like there's so many different variations. You could be the reporter. You can take the glasses off. You can do the phone booth change. Maybe you're hitting multiple Halloween parties in one night. You got to have multiple variations. Can't be seen in the same costume twice sometimes. So
I've done Superman before. Like that is not a bad one at all. Like I said, if you want something easy, go to your local Walmart, buy a big shirt with an S on it, put a suit on with a shirt, and have that shirt unbuttoned, and you put some glasses on it, and boom, you're perfect. It's a great classic costume. I can't agree anymore.
And that leaves us now on Halloween, top Halloween character. Guy that you wouldn't want to be caught in a dark room with. Maybe you don't want to go down into the sewer. If the little boat goes down the drain, just leave it. We all float down here, Georgie. We all do. We all float.
Yeah, mine is that. It is Georgie. Yeah, that's like the only horror movie that I can stand watching. I don't understand why. Maybe it's because I've been to these nerd cons and I've seen some really, really cool like makeups and costumes that people have thrown on, and those are badass. Like they do a great job of doing that whole get up. It's probably one of the harder costumes to do unless you put a mask on. But I've seen people without the mask and just do it with their own body and different things, and it's very, very cool. But yeah, that's like the only horror movie that I can stand. So yeah, that's gonna have to Georgie is going to be my
Georgie, the little boy that gets eaten, or is it Pennywise?
Not Georgie, Pennywise. Sorry, Pennywise.
Yeah, no, Pennywise. I can't. Honestly, I know that the new movie has better effects and it's supposed to be scarier. There's something about, I think it was probably the actor, Tim Curry. I loved him in Home Alone when he was Home Alone 2 when he was the hotel manager. He's always great, but when he played Pennywise and had that, like, he goes from nice to sinister so quick. And the book, I have not grown the balls yet. I have not grown the set of balls that I need to read that book by Stephen King. But I've heard that the book is even worse because it takes on your greatest fear. So whatever you are most afraid of, that's what you're going to see. And I just, okay.
I remember if I was picking something out of the box, and Skarsgård does a great job too in the new movie with Pennywise. Don't get me wrong. But if I were to pick an outside the box one, give me the Great White Shark from Jaws too. Goddamn, like that. Like if that you want to talk about menacing.
People have never been in the ocean because of that movie.
Exactly. So give me and everyone knows I love Shark Week and sharks. So I do love Jaws too. So I won't hate on that horror movie either.
The original Jaws is definitely a horror movie. Later on, it became more of like disaster and those kinds of things. I'll throw up there, if you've never seen it, Deep Blue Sea. If you like watching movies where sharks are, because those sharks learn and they like get better and they learn how to hunt like more like orcas do. That was an intense movie. Samuel L. Jackson doesn't make it all the way through that one. Just so you're aware. I'm I'm split. My favorite all time is Michael Myers. I love the Halloween franchise, and I kind of like, especially like the Rob Zombie ones where he's the giant 6'10" wrestler and overpowering, and it's obviously frightening. But the new horror franchise that's kind of taken over, and it's hard. I can't even really sit through those recap videos that I watch, and they blur half of the stuff because it is probably some of the most. You remember how people reacted when Saw first came out, and like there was the stories of people vomiting in the theater because like I've never even thought of seeing a human body go through some of the shit that it went through. This new Terrifier series with Art the Clown, that's the guy that has like he's the white face and just the black eye makeup and around his mouth, and he's never said anything. He's been in 4 movies. One of them was like a short film, and then he has 3 of his own movies of the Terrifier franchise. He's never said a word, but he is the most violent, sadistic, unkillable, because he comes back in every single movie. Like, it's Jason if Jason was not parodied. So far, the Art the Clown, he's kind of a parody in and of itself, but the movie name fits. He's terrifying because he shows up and he just fucking, he's not just going to kill you. He is going to torture you as he kills you. And some of the makeup and stuff, that's one of the cool things about horror movies is all the effects that they're able to do. And the practical effects are probably some of the coolest. I think that's why Jaws was as powerful as it was, because it was it was a robot shark that they were doing all those effects with. Holy shit. The Terrifier series, if you haven't seen Art the Clown and you are a horror movie fan, if you are, sound off in the comments below. But like, that is the new standard of horror film. That's where it seems like it's moving.
Yeah.
Jericho was in the newest one, by the way. Jericho gets
watch those.
Yeah,
just keep your buck. It's not going to happen. But hey, if you're into those things, let's take Jimmy's advice.
Yeah. Biggest pet peeve for Halloween. What's the biggest thing that you can't stand?
This is something that grinds my gears. Halloween weekend is the weekend closest to that date of Halloween, not the weekend before, ladies and gentlemen. So this upcoming weekend should be Halloween week. I get it. It's over. That Halloween happened on the 31st. It should not be 6 days before. Sorry about it. It is not. The Halloween weekend is this weekend. You should be dressing around, going around downtown. It is not the previous weekend. That is my biggest pet peeve. As weird as that sound, I will stand on that. That you should not be celebrating Halloween that far out or that far ahead of time. Is all I'm going to say. I mean, you can celebrate with the schoolness or ghoulness and everything else, watch movies, whatever. You should not be going out with costumes on the weekend before. Is all I'm saying. It's the weekend of. Okay. And Thursday, to some people, is a weekend, the start of the weekend, because some people have Fridays off. So sorry about it, but it is.
And all the people in the corporate world they're going to take a half day. They're planning on showing up hungover on Friday and taking off a little bit early so that they can hit. I mean, there's got to be Halloween parties Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, even Sunday, because Halloween's one of those. It's an excuse. It's because everything is so wholesome at the end of the year. This is like the last night where it's the devil's night. It's Halloween. It's scary. It's spooky. Kids that are listening in my class, don't TP houses. But hey, just remember, you got to be faster than your slowest friend. That's all you got to do. Be faster than the slowest person. I think my pet peeve, I was never like the biggest Halloween person. I didn't necessarily like the costumes when I was young would scare me. And it's always something about like when I can't see your face, which is, it's a human reaction. But when I can't see somebody's face, it's just like very unsettling. But I think my biggest pet peeve is, it's those people. I get that scaring somebody is a thrill and the prank videos are hilarious, but the ones that take it too far, the ones that purposely go out of their way, not to just scare you today, but I am going to scare the absolute, like we did it, unfortunately, to my brother, because my brother is very naive, Dom, and we watched The Sixth Sense, and then one of the dads of the team, it was a sleepover, so we told scary stories before we went to bed, and then the son of a bitch walked out and was like, he goes, every so often, especially around this time of year, there's a figure that'll appear in that basement window if you look out at the right time. Then all of a sudden we're all at the window, and that guy went out and stood in the window and made the silhouette. And I have never been clung to so. I've been in relationships. I've had really good moments with like teammates and everything like that. I have never been hugged as hard and squeezed as hard as my brother was squeezing me that night. I was like, oh, he's there. He's there. It's like, okay, let me tell you now. That was a joke. It was a joke. Relax. It was bad. I got in a lot of trouble for that. I got in so much trouble. Why didn't you stop them? I didn't think that it was going to be this bad. I didn't think he'd believe us like that. I didn't know he'd pee the bed.
Yeah, that's the way Halloween goes, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. Deal with it.
Celebrate responsibly if you are celebrating, but enjoy it. Speaking of, the end of October means that we are now 2 months into the college football season. We're a little bit over, but November is where games will start to count. We have a lot of big games coming up this weekend, but before we get into the games that are upcoming, let's take a look back at last weekend's schedule, because not necessarily as many finished upsets, but there were a lot of teams in week 9 that basically were skating by on the skin of their teeth. And it started on Friday night. It's another one of the Heisman hopefuls. It was a Mountain West showdown. UNLV, Boise State. UNLV is a very good team, but they are down their quarterback with that whole NIL deal that we were mentioning earlier on. Ashton Genty, along with Travis Hunter, has been one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy pretty much all season. And Boise walks away with a 5-point victory in Las Vegas. So 5-point victory on the road in conference is nothing to sneeze at. But if we're talking about resume, if we're talking about strength of schedule, this was kind of a bad look for Boise State, especially when you're the standalone ranked game on Friday night. What did you think of Boise and UNLV?
Well, I mean, UNLV was red hot at the beginning of the season. Like, let's not forget, like they were a team that people were like, until their quarterback basically said, "See you later." Like they were a promising 3-0 team. Like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, they've taken a step back. But the question is with this Boise State team is like the mountain, like with how poor the ACC has been outside of Miami and obviously Clemson coming on as of lately, and how poor the Big 12 kind of has been with a bunch of teams floating around being good, being bad. Mountain West could get an automatic bid if Boise State goes undefeated. Like that's a real conversation, especially
they already have one loss, but their loss is to Oregon in Eugene.
And that's a very good loss. Especially if Oregon continues being the number 1 team in the country after they beat Illinois. Like they dominated Illinois too, which is the next game obviously in the slate you're showing. Like Boise State could fall into that conversation. I don't know if they'd be willing to get it, but like I said, you win out as a Mountain West champion, you're definitely in the playoff. Let's put it that way. I think that they're how good Jonte or GT, whatever, however you say it, has been playing. This team is a playoff team if they win out. That's welcome to the 12-man playoff, ladies and gentlemen. This team is good enough to be in the 12-team playoff, in my opinion. Whether they win or not, a playoff game or not, remains to be seen. But like I said, they win out. I think it's controlling your own destiny, because they lose, then that conversations will come up. But a one-loss Boise State team, I think they know in the back of their minds, if that one loss is to one of the top teams in the country, which it is, and you can win out against frankly a bad conference also, like you will be in a position to be just fine in the college football, where you may even host a playoff game too. So as much as this is like, hey, not a great win here, could have been a lot better, should have beat a worse team, but I think that they know what they need to, and they just need to get to play right football at the right time.
Yeah, it's they are top of the conference right now. As it stands, they would be playing Colorado State in the Mountain West Championship, because Colorado State is undefeated in conference play. They've kind of bounced themselves back after a rough start to the season, but it is going to be like, Boise and Oregon is a little bit of a rivalry, but now Boise, you have to root for Oregon to continue on. They're not going to get the bye, but they can host the playoff game in the first round. And if you host a playoff game in Idaho, we've seen so far, up until very recently, most of the teams that go on the road, they struggle. we'll talk about the next 2 games on the slate because the Big Ten was a big story of last weekend, not necessarily in the games that were taking place, but if they took care of business in those games, the games that we have coming up now, we will have undefeated Penn State and Ohio and 1-loss Ohio State. We are going to have some other marquee matchups coming down the pike, but we talked about it. You already mentioned Oregon. At the beginning of the season, there was a lot of question marks. They did not look like they were right, and they probably weren't. Dan Lanning has come out and he reminded everybody, they had Bo Nix for 2 seasons. Bo Nix, the first year in Oregon, was a lot like Bo Nix when he was at Auburn. Doesn't read defenses, took a long time to get himself comfortable in the offense. Now with Dylan Gabriel, we kind of just assumed that he was going to be able to pick things up and go from the jump. Didn't happen, but now they're figuring it out, and that's a damn dangerous team. They can beat you on the ground. Dylan Gabriel can run. He can also just kill you from the pocket. He's a surgeon back there. He's played more college football. He's encroaching on the record set by Case Keenum with over 52,000 yards passing in his career. And I think it's like 57 or something. I'll look up the stats, but Dylan Gabriel and this Oregon team, I mean, don't stub your toe, but I don't think that there's many games left that they're going to stub their toe in because I think the tough game was going to be Michigan.
Yeah, I think the last tough game is going to be Michigan for this team. Like they've gotten through Ohio State. You look at the rest of this Big Ten. Don't get me wrong, as good as Ohio State and Michigan is, and like Oregon is by far and away the best team. Ohio State had some stumbles here and there. They'll still be a playoff team. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, Michigan has fallen off very quickly. Michigan State's very bad. Rutgers had that hot start, fell apart. Illinois was pretty good for a little bit there, and Oregon said we're just going to bitch slap you. Like they have run through everybody right now. So Oregon, Gabriel, like I said, Gabriel is playing very, very good baseball right now, and he is on one. Is all I'm going to say. So, or sorry, not baseball, good football right now. So sorry, I'm watching the baseball game.
Yeah, you're watching the World Series
while this is going on. But yes, he's playing such good football right now that he is going to put himself in a position where, frankly, he could be at the Heisman Trophy ceremony as well. Be there, especially if Oregon is the number 1 seed going to playoff and go and number 1 team in the country because he's playing some of his best ball of his career. Obviously, the career that started at Oklahoma and now has come to Oregon with Dan Lanning and company. So yeah, Oregon. I'm interested to see how Oregon tests or how Oregon feels at the end of the season when they go through this grueling Big Ten schedule. Because like I said, this is the same thing for Texas that we're seeing. I think more recently now is that after the beginning part of the SEC schedule for Texas, they have slowly gone away. With the Big 12 schedule and Pac-10 schedules of the past, you could get through these easier games and just barely beat bad teams because the next week after that, you're not facing a very good football team. So those upcoming weeks where you face a good opponent and then next week is if you have a letdown game, you can get caught a lot easier in the Big Ten and the SEC. So that's where I really want to see how Dan Lanning and Oregon responds going forward, especially that Michigan game, obviously, we talked about.
Yeah, they have bye week this week. They're playing at the Big House next week. Their last big game after that is at home against Washington, a team that they have not beaten in the last 2 tries last year in the regular season, then once again in the Pac-12 championship. But again, as good as Bo Nix and Oregon was last year, and the fact that they couldn't get over the hump against Washington is not the same team that they were a season ago, and they're struggling way harder with the switch over to the Big Ten and the coaching. So I have more faith in this team and the fact that they get a bye week now when they've established themselves. You have the emotional win against Ohio State. After that win, you go to Purdue in Indiana and you beat them 35-0, and then you host Illinois, who is ranked 20th in the country, and you absolutely handle them the week after they come in and smack around a team like Michigan, who you play next. So very impressive resume so far. And if you're a Boise State fan, you will be kind of happy to hear this. I do think that they're going to finish out their schedule and complete the resume builder that they are going to be for you. Penn State is one that I think we should mention because Oregon will also have to go out to where they just played. Penn State played in Wisconsin last weekend at Camp Randall. And it's a lot like the way the Penn State season has gone so far this year. Struggle in the first half, especially on the road. Think back to that USC game, but you're finding ways to come back and you are finding ways to put your stamp on these games. And they did it in a very different way this time because they lost their starting quarterback. Drew Aller goes down, and they end up putting in a guy that they know is good He's been one of the top recruits. Bo Prabula looks like another miniature version of Trace McSorley out there. But he comes in, he wins the game. They walk out of Wisconsin with a 28-13 victory, and now they've handled their end of the bargain. They can still lose this game this weekend and find their way into the college playoff. But if you handle business, you are in the Big Ten championship. You are playing for a first-round bye. Can James Franklin use this win and get himself and the Nittany Lions over the hump?
Well, especially as a home game, like Ohio State is like I said, they've been playing tough football. Like they've had some close games here and there, and now you have a whiteout, or not a whiteout game. It's a mid-Sunday game or it's a mid-Saturday game, which is so weird for this big of a matchup. But this Penn State Ohio State game this weekend, like it's going to be two Goliaths. That, like I said, it has first round bye written up, or first round bye is on the line in this matchup. Just how that Texas Georgia game was, just how that Georgia Alabama game was. We're talking about SEC championship hopes. Now we're talking about Big Ten championship hopes with this matchup. So, like I said, Wisconsin's a team that obviously it's a tough place to play. Wisconsin in October is not warm by any means. It's not fun weather up there. So Oregon may have a little bit tough time going there this weekend or whatever the next game is. But for this Penn State Ohio State matchup, I'm very intrigued because, like I said, losing your quarterback hurts for Penn State, and if you're Ohio State, they can run the damn hell out of the ball with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Harrison, and that's something that Penn State is going to have to worry about.
That's the thing, though. Not recently. I don't know. Did you watch? Let's talk about the Ohio State game from last weekend. Did you watch them against? It was Nebraska. Nebraska coming off that embarrassing showing in Indiana the week before. They come out.
Is it really that embarrassing? Because Indiana is obviously that good.
No, they are that good. But then what does that say about Ohio State only being able to rush for 62 yards and 2 yards of carry?
Yeah.
They have a makeshift. It's right now they have a makeshift offensive line. Their scheme is not getting their guys in the position for them to be successful. There's a very big issue on that side of the ball because what do you expect when you think of Ohio State, especially with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Williams? You expect them to be able to run the ball. They haven't been able to, and it's been consistent. It goes all the way back to the Oregon game. I think they had 3 big runs. Outside of that, they averaged 2 yards a carry. This offensive line has not been good enough, and against a Penn State defensive line that I will tell you from playing the damn video game as much as I do, that's a hell of a defensive line. This is the best. This is the most even. Again, I listen to a lot of college football shows, and I am repeating the sentiment that I'm hearing, but I agree with this wholeheartedly. This is the closest this rivalry has been since Saquon and Trace McSorley were able to get them over the hump the one other time that they've been able to do this. I think it's like 5 or 6 years in a row. Penn State is winless against Ohio State, and they've always been right there.
Yeah, they really – and this is the game that the last 4 or 5 years that Penn State has just lost and just never been able to recover from too. Like that's just a game that has just Ohio State has either A, dominated, or B, just won a game that just broke the backs of Penn State, being like, this is to Penn State, this is the biggest game on their schedule. This is the biggest game on their schedule. This is the biggest game. If you want to take that next step to be one of the best teams in the country, that you have to win.
Yeah. And right now, if the only thing that I could say, and I don't like to defend Ohio State, but if I was an Ohio State fan, if we were talking to one right now, I would say the best thing for you in this situation is that there is no more room for error. What we've talked about with all these other teams. You've already lost your one game. You lose this game, you have to hope for a lot of chaos, and you have to hope for a lot of doomsdays to happen for the teams that are ahead of you.
For you to get a bye or / in the Big Ten championship. Because I think a two-loss
if they lose
Ohio State is still in the playoff. If they lose to
Oregon and Penn State, yeah, they'll still be in the playoff, but you're not in the conference championship, which means that you're not getting the first round bye, which means that you're not getting the home field advantage in the first round either.
Well, if you lose this weekend and you falter here, then that Michigan game at the end of the year is even more. Because yes, you're not playing for a Big Ten championship, but you're fighting for a better record to stay in. Because you have 3 losses. If you have 3 losses, I don't think you're going to be in the playoff. I'll be honest with you. That's where you're hovering on, and that's how
they'll end with 3 losses. I think this is my. We just mentioned that Indiana is that good. I think that Kirk Cignetti. I have a lot of faith. If Indiana does not give themselves in a look-ahead spot, I believe that they are playing in Columbus. So maybe I'm going on a little bit too much of a limb, but I've questioned Indiana all season, and Indiana has stepped up to every single test. And
it'd be wild for Indiana to I mean, I guess be a team that's a lock in the playoff and Ohio State not be. I think that maybe strength of schedule might throw into play, like who Ohio State played outside of it, and who Indiana played outside of it,
yeah,
which
they
could
have to
throw
get
in
the
the
head-to-head
but
win. If they don't have the head-to-head, they have no
Yeah.
other tiebreakers because Indiana played the softest of the Big Ten schedule. But if you get that win in Columbus against Ohio State, you are a surefire lock for the conference championship. You are a surefire lock to be in the college football playoff bracket. If they lose that game, though, and then they lose another one, this will just be a cute story at the beginning of the season, and you may not even make the actual final bracket as one of those at-large teams. So Indiana's played well, but the job is still far from finished if you are a fan over there in Hoosierville. Let's move over to the SEC because there's a lot of teams. I mean, we talked about Bama quite a bit, especially going back to that classic game that they played against Georgia and how they haven't looked right. Well, who better in the SEC to get right against than good old Missouri? Good old Missouri.
Well, Missouri
Brady
team
Cook,
that was a top 10 team at one point too. Let's not forget. Like Bama, that was your nice flash in the pan that really no one even took seriously. Like, oh, Missouri's won 4 in a row against bad teams. Cool. Let's see them play Bama, and this is what happens. Look, Jalen Milroe obviously had a much better game, and this Bama team is still one of the most talented teams in the country, so they'll be just fine. This is a Bama team that is they're not going to be in the SEC championship. Like that, we're already past that, I think. Unless Texas and Georgia and
Texas Tech and LSU
and
both have to lose out.
Unless they all falter at some point with multiple losses and Alabama sneaks in. They're past that. So Alabama's right now just fighting to host a playoff game right now, which I think if they win out, I mean, like I said, this Auburn game at the end of the year is going to be on ESPN the Ocho because of how bad they are too. Like this, they're going to be in the playoff. I think I would be very surprised if they're not. I am interested to see what kind of adversity they'd be able to face on the road in a playoff atmosphere. Because, like I said, you don't win out, you don't get an SEC championship, you won't have those last 4 spots that host, or the first 4 spots that host a playoff game, and that could be bad news for Kalen DeBoer's first year. Is all I'm going to say.
I would be very surprised. I don't necessarily know if they're going to pick up another loss, but it would be. I think that they are going to have to start on the road and make it through that first round. But they did look much better. I will also give Missouri this. Brady Cook, the quarterback, did get hurt in the first half of the game, so he didn't finish out the game. But this was going to be a rout no matter what. This was the situation Alabama had to bounce back into. They weren't going to lose this game, and now the rest of the SEC also took care of business. The game of the night where Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler were calling, that was Texas A&M and LSU. Texas A&M may be one of the rare exceptions to the if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none rule, because Wegman can throw the ball. The backup that they put in can run the ball, and they were down like 3 scores going into halftime, and you look up and they won the game by 2 touchdowns. Mike Elko has this Texas A&M team for real. It's the first time in 13 years we are going to get Texas and Texas A&M playing against each other, and that may be for both teams' chance to be in the SEC championship. That's how crazy this thing has been, and that's how everybody always gives Texas A&M a lot of hype, but the Jimbo years were not good. And this season under Mike Elko has been way better than any of the seasons that you had with one of the former great coaches in college football. Jimbo Fisher's considered one of those guys.
I would think that I wouldn't necessarily go that far with saying that Texas
outside of Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, he's won the most recent national championship.
I'm saying, I don't think Texas A&M still have a long ways to go to get to the playoff or to the SEC championship. You look at what Georgia's done.
They're number 1 seed right now. They would be in over Georgia. They would be in over Bama.
They still have a tough schedule coming up, and there's a lot of good teams in the SEC still too. So I'm not going to say that they're going to win the SEC because I would still pick 3 teams ahead of them, frankly. If Bama had played them, which I'm pretty sure they still do, or if they already have.
They don't.
Which is weird because they usually do. Either way, I don't have faith. Texas A&M is like the 5th team in my opinion. Tennessee has been really hot, has played some close games, unfortunately, but they have a big win against Alabama. There's other teams. No offense to Texas A&M.
Texas A&M will be in the SEC championship. I'm calling my shot for that one too.
Okay.
I'm fine. I get what you're saying, and in the past,
I
think that you still have the Jimbo State.
I could have said the same thing about Missouri when they were the 7th ranked team in week 2.
No,
Like, no, this is
no,
gonna fall.
because
Like,
you know who they
this is
played at
going to
that
falter.
point was UMass. Texas A&M has beat. They beat. I will pull up their schedule, but they have 3 ranked wins on their schedule, and they are dominating the SEC. They're the only undefeated team left in the SEC. So I don't know how you can sit here and say Georgia's better. Georgia fucking lost an SEC game.
Because they have not faced Georgia, Bama, or Texas. That's why yet. That's also why. And all 3 of them have played each other. That's why. That's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that. Literally, it's like
I'm
they
pulling
lose.
it up now.
I'm just saying.
I'm giving they beat Notre Dame at first week of the season. They've beaten the shit out of everybody else that they play. They have Florida as a pelt on their wall. They have Arkansas as a pelt on their wall. They have Missouri as a pelt on their wall. They have Mississippi State as a pelt on their wall. They now add LSU as a pelt on their wall.
LSU is the best one, but frankly, Georgia, Bama, and Texas have all beat the shit out of each other. So I'm not jumping the Texas A&M coattails anytime soon. Is all I'm going to say.
I would Texas at the end of the season. People will finally start giving them their respect because you know what? Quinn Ewers is shell shocked right now. That's a good way to segue into the Texas game. They should have lost that damn game to Vanderbilt. They should have lost that game. Sarkisian, I gave him a lot of credit at the beginning of the season. He's lost. You know that he's lost when that Georgia game. You pull Quinn Ewers. You don't do that. Whether you're going to plan on going back to the other guy or not, that's the shittiest thing you can do in that situation.
They pulled him at the end of the half, and then Ewers played the second half. It wasn't like he was pulled for the entire game. But
so you tanked his confidence, and then you tanked Arch's confidence because he had 2 shitty drives before the end of the half.
It's hurting both.
Yes, bad. It's bad. It's not good.
When you have 2 quarterbacks, it's never a good thing to have 2 quarterbacks. It never is. It's literally never a good thing to have 2 quarterbacks because there's always one guy that's going to lose some confidence, and when that other dude loses confidence, you go to the other guy, and then you go back. It's snip snap, it's back and forth, and it's everyone. It's a losers party. When you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks. Plain and simple. That's the old saying as it goes. So, like I said, and Quinn Ewers' draft stock has obviously gone way down too. So. I still think Texas can run the hell out of the ball, and I still think that their defense is very, very solid. Don't get me wrong. It was a tough game against Georgia, and Vanderbilt obviously beat Alabama. Let's not even forget about that. They have a notch on their belt that's pretty damn good as well. So it's not like they're a pushover. So look, I just need to see more. I guess it's fucking Halloween. I need to see 3-4 more weeks of these teams that are hovering around the middle of the pack.
Well, I mean, I think Texas is very close right now to going down to being that team hovering around the end of the pack because the way that game went, they had a big lead in the first half, and then you lose concentration. Like that team does not have the edge that it had going into the Georgia game. Georgia beat that edge out of them. You got to find that again. And right now, I don't see that coming from your head coach. So maybe it's a player revolution that happens. But I think that something needs to change for Texas because if I'm a Longhorn fan, looking at the way my program's going and looking at the trajectory of the other teams in the SEC, you are very close to being left out. You are. You're very close to being left out of the conference championship because guess what? Texas A&M doesn't have that tough of a schedule coming up down the stretch. They're going to be in the championship game. And if you lose that last weekend or if you slip up one of these weekends before, it's too bad, so sad. Sarkisian, you can't get over the hump. You got into the playoff last year, but you weren't even able to win that game. Last week of the rankings, before I believe we start getting the CFP rankings coming out, Oregon remains top. Georgia is second. We had no movement anywhere from the top 4. Miami jumps up another slot. They are still undefeated. Looked a lot better this last weekend than they had in the past. It looks good when you play against Florida State. That's a lot easier than most games. Texas drops down 1 from 5 to 6. Tennessee, Notre Dame, BYU, and then Texas A&M round out the top 10. I guess my first question is, what is the reason why Iowa State is continually being overlooked? Because I'm sure that, they're undefeated. They're playing really good games. They're winning in really good fashion. And I love Matt Campbell, but obviously there's something about this Iowa State team that they're just not going to get any respect until they are a Power 4 conference champion.
I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I haven't watched one Iowa State football game this season. I'll just keep it a buck with you. I'm not going to say you're an act like I know anything about it because I don't. I know they got a couple guys that played for Creek and that went to our high school on the team. That's about it. I will say I think that the reason why they're probably that low is because of the strength of the schedule of the people in front of them. I think that the teams in front of them have played some tough teams outside of maybe Notre Dame in Miami. Like Ohio State has played tough games and beat good teams / lost to good teams. Same with Georgia. Same with Penn State. Or Penn State obviously has won. Texas has also a good team. Tennessee's obviously lost to a good team. Like that. That's why I think they're that low. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot of Iowa State because I don't, and I don't watch a ton of college football like you. But yeah, it's probably because of how much how well these other teams have played in the national spotlight against better teams. There's no offense to the Big 12. No one's really signing up to watch Oklahoma State at 11 o'clock. As good as a football team as they are, they are throwing
They're
on.
not this year.
They're
Yeah,
not.
no,
I mean, they're not even. Like, it's not even
year.
worth it. Like
yeah,
it's the Big 12 is having a very, very tough go. Utah, we thought was going to be very good, have had some setbacks with Cam Rising.
You want to know what the conference championship matchup is right now? If the season ended today, it's BYU, Iowa State.
There's a chance that CU at 6-2, by the way, bowl game, could sneak their way into the Big 12 championship, and that's saying something. Like that's how
they have to hope either BYU or Kansas State or God damn it, I just said the name, Iowa State. One of those three teams have to lose more than 2 games, and they have to win.
It's very possible because of how even this conference is in. That's probably why they're that low, if I'm being honest with you.
No, I think that it'll be. I mean, the Big 12, they might start rigging games because if they get the BYU and Iowa State as their conference championship matchup, they're not gonna. I think they might have some more viewers for the Mountain West Championship.
That's the
AAC.
Big 12 championship. There's going to be a conversation of who gets that 4th bye, a Mountain West champion, or even a fucking armed forces. Like, let's not even forget, like Army or I think Army's still on, or maybe it's Navy.
Yeah, no, Army's still undefeated. Navy just got their shit pushed in by Notre Dame.
So Army could, if they continue undefeated streak, they could sneak in there too, possibly. Like it's weird, but that's unfortunately how weak the Big 12 is.
It's strange, and I think that one last thing, and I think I like to say it pretty much every time. We didn't talk about college football, but the conference realignment, the new rivalries, the new matchups that we get, the fact that everyone is live to win every single week. Like, who would have thought? Nobody picked Vandy to have 5 wins on the season, and they can still finish with more. They may end up with like an 8-3, 7-4 season, which would be almost as good as a national championship for that kind of a program. And the transfer portal and the NIL, I get that it ain't your daddy's college football anymore, but it's still some damn good college football, and we're getting some pretty interesting and crazy-ass moments coming out of it. I think that's where I guess that's where I'm done with college football. You got anything else that you want to add on to that?
I mean, I'm very interested to see how this Heisman Trophy race comes out, because Travis Hunter was just the not only Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, he was also the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. The first time that has ever happened in college football for the conference Offensive Player of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week being the same motherfucking dude in the same week. So look, Ashton Johnson has all the makings to be a Heisman Trophy. Don't get me wrong, especially if Boise State is a playoff team and they become a top 10 team. He has all the right to be in the conversation. But Travis Hunter is on something right now. So I think this race, Heisman Trophy race, may be one of the most exciting Heisman Trophy races we've seen in recent memory. Because it wasn't like the last couple of years where we said Bryce Young's just going to win, Caleb Williams is just going to win, or what?
Devontae Smith is just going to win. Yeah,
like there's a real conversation for 3 or 4 dudes this year. So I'm very excited to see, especially since CU is a bowl team now, is going bowling, confirmed. And obviously Boise State is going to be hovering around the playoff picture as well. I think that adds in another fun added bonus to see, hey, these guys that are going to be the Heisman Trophy race, they're going to be in around the conference championship picture as well as the playoff picture. The CU has a number next to them. I don't know if you noticed that. Number 23 in the country now. So things are going to get very interesting in the Heisman Trophy race the last couple of weeks of the season.
Let's do a quick check-in because it is bottom of the 8th.
The top of the 9th.
It just switched over. Last night, the Yankees extend their hopes. The Dodgers are still up 3-1.
I don't know if you saw the highlights yesterday. A fan stole the ball out of Mookie Betts' mitt on the outside, which is very interesting. Which could have been the spark they had. Finally, the Yankees got their bats going. But I've been watching this game all night before we started recording, and then obviously during. I've been keeping my eye on it. The Yankees had 6 or 5 unearned runs in the 6th inning that got them stuck. And they were up 5-0. They were up 5-0. And they're at 500 runs because of 3 errors. 1, Aaron Judge dropped the ball in center field to cause an out. 2, Anthony Volpe threw the third base, bounced off the third baseman's glove. Runner was safe. And then the last one, which could have been a third out. All this was 2 outs, by the way. Third out, Anthony Rizzo on first base had a ground ball to him, and Garrett Cole doesn't cover first base. And obviously the Dodgers score 5 runs. That's how good this Dodgers lineup is right now. So the Yankees, this game and frankly season could be over by the time we finish recording this. I would not be surprised because the Dodgers are red hot. The Yankees are just making mental error after mental error.
It seems that way, and we normally talk about it when baseball gets to this level of the season. It comes down to who has the better pitching staff, who has the better pitching performances, and I think we can say without a shadow of a doubt, as of now, even without Shohei in the lineup in the rotation, the Dodgers have everybody, and they're getting contributions from guys that haven't had contributions for a long time in these situations. Like the Freddie Freeman home run from game 1 was his first home run in 41 days. And then he went and hit another home run in game 2. Like
and
3.
And 4,
game
by
3.
The way.
And 4.
And 4, yep.
So he goes from hitting no home runs for 40 plus days to now 4 home runs in 4 straight games. The Dodgers just seem like this is their year, and the Yankees wanted this matchup so bad, and they wanted to finally be in this situation, but you're not getting any play from any stars, and the one guy that you're getting clutch hits out of is probably all signs are pointing that he's going to stay somewhere in New York, but that may be the Mets. The Mets are willing to open their pocketbook just as much as the Yankees. It's not a guarantee that Juan Soto is going to stay in pinstripes. It might end up being across the town, and if he plays for the Mets, that's a very dangerous team. But the Yankees, this has got to be the most disappointing because what else could you have asked for?
Judge has had a terrible series, obviously. Like he's had a homer in game 5 and been a little bit better at the end of 4, but the first 3 games was horrendous, and the pitching was terrible. Garrett Cole had a great first game where he let up only 1 run, and then Aaron Boone pulled him with like 80 pitches, and soon to be later, Dodgers came back and obviously had that walk-off homer. This series had all the hopes of being a absolutely one for the ages, and the Dodgers said, no, we've been here, done that. There's a reason why the Yankees haven't been to the World Series in 15 years. There's a reason why we've been one of the best teams in baseball the last 4 years, 5 years since even before COVID. So Dodgers are showing that they're ready for this type of moment. The Yankees are not.
Well, that's our check-in. We will, if it goes final and the season is over, we will also make sure that we talk about that. As of now, the Dodgers have 2 on with 1 out in the top of the 9th. They're leading by a run. So that is your little bit of a check-in for the World Series. Let's get back into some football. It's time to get into the NFL. I have the pick'em standings up on the screen, but before we get into the games that happened this week, I think there's a couple moments. We're going to talk about the game that you and I went together. You invited me on Sunday. We went out. We watched the Panthers attempt to play football. I think that's what they were trying to do against the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix looked really good. Before we get into that, though, it actually happened during our game, and your mom thought that we wouldn't have seen it, but it was all over social media by the time we got into the car. It just gets worse and worse. And like, if you're a Chicago fan, the guy that is celebrating and waving off the opposing crowd, not at the beginning of the play, not doing his job whatsoever, because he's got single coverage on that side. Like, it's a Hail Mary situation, dude. I don't know what your coach was doing, playing everybody in the middle and letting them get to the outside so that they could set up for one last Hail Mary from 65 yards. But not only are you not paying attention, Ramondre Stevenson, you also go and you're the one that punches the ball up. Like, in that situation, if you touch the ball, it's got to go down. It's a spike. You are not bumping it to whomever is back there. And you're the only one that made contact with that football, and it ends up in the end zone. And the Washington Commanders.
Like I said, Tyreek Stevens is the guy's name. And the poor guy, I mean, like, not even the poor guy. Like you had everything coming for you. And there was two of the biggest boneheaded plays of young guys in football. Obviously, you talked about Anthony Richardson with the tap out. And I would almost say this is as worse, if not far worse, because obviously the Bears have been playing decent football, and Caleb Williams has not been bad, and they're winning some games that they probably shouldn't. They should have won that game. They obviously should have won that game, and then for whatever reason, the Jane Daniels miracle happens, and I just. Like I said, when when we were taught when we were playing football, it's like if you're back there, just do whatever you can to bat it down. Do not try to make a hero play to try to catch it. You do not hit that thing up. You do not try to catch it. That thing goes straight into the damn ground, for that matter. You do not go up with one hand and try to OBJ that bitch, which is what he tried to do.
He had a fist. He was punching this way,
which makes it even more
even dumber. Even dumber.
Like first of all, Noah Brown, who caught that ball, was like, how the fuck did this ball end up in my lap? He was the next line of defense, just being like, oh shit, we lost, and then the ball just appears.
Holy shit!
It's a like I said, Hail Marys are weirdly enough have been really successful as of lately, and it's a kudos to the arms and the arms of quarterbacks nowadays that can just sling the ball from 60 yards down the way and still make it that far. What I thought was so interesting, and Dan Quinn brought this up, was just as important as the Hail Mary was, it was the play before that. The Commanders had the ball on, like, I think it was the 20-yard line or maybe the 30-yard line.
They gained an 80-yard Hail Mary.
They gained 20 yards because the Bears decided to play prevent defense with 20 seconds left and allow the receiver to catch the ball for 20 yards to make the throw a lot easier. Don't get me wrong. Jane Daniels could throw the ball. That ball, like, if it didn't touch anybody, that would have landed and stopped right on the 1-yard line. He barely got there in 60 yards. 80 yards, you're talking about swinging, you're hook and ladder, having to throw back and forth. The game gets so much more difficult adding the throwing mark. I know for those people that don't really watch a ton of football, it would be like, God, it doesn't make a difference. Yes, it does. It makes a massive difference. Massive difference. 20 yards is the difference between a quarterback getting the ball all the way down there and having to just play backyard football and trying to swing and ladder it the whole way. So look, the absolutely idiocy by Eberflus and the Bears team, and like I said, it's you almost feel bad, but at the same time you see how they acted, thinking they won and how cocky they were, and you're like, no, I don't feel bad. No, I don't.
No, and two, I will also put this out there: the fact that they were in a position to win the game by that point, neither team really took advantage. Up until those last few sequences. I think that both offenses were absolutely killed by the opposing defenses, which makes no sense because guess what? The Commanders' defense isn't all that good. So shouldn't Caleb Williams have gone off before the end of the game? And shouldn't you have had more than a 2-point lead at the end of the game? Probably. And yeah, why do you can't let anybody, if you're playing prevent, you play the sidelines and back. And it wasn't even like a normal prevent defense. They had everybody in the middle, so the only way the receiver could go was this way, which is the wrong thing.
Which is you need to force him inbounds.
Yes,
to keep him inbounds. It's football 101. And obviously
it's as dumb of a clock play as that Will Howard play at the end of the Ohio State-Oregon game. Like, how do you not know and the Dak Prescott game play a couple years ago in the playoffs? Like, I guess it's easy for us to sit here and say, how do you not know? But again, in that situation, when you're paid that much money, you should be.
It's not a game. It's not an in-play moment. Obviously, Dak Prescott and the Will Howard things were heat of the moment, thinking you could get so many yards kind of thing. That honestly is just natural instinct. You see this opening, you're going to fucking run, and you just run out of time. You just don't think about it. That's just naturally. Calling a play beforehand is a lot different. Actually throwing that play out there is way different than that. That's why I'm so heated about this, is because you called that prevent defense with 20 seconds left. You did. It's not that they made this spectacular play on the sideline to get 20 more yards. It was your defensive play call that said, "Hey, let's fall back." And then one of the guys out there decides to chirp the whole entire fan base and be a dumbass about it. It's very funny how these corners and DBs think that they're all the shit, Jimmy, and that they're the man, this, that, and the other thing, and they get humbled so quickly. I think DBs get humbled more than anything. They talk the most shit out of anybody. I don't think it's frankly even close, and they get humbled so damn quickly if you're not frankly, doing what you need to do. And that's what Tyreek Stevens and the Bears fell to.
Yeah, even on the teams, like I loved everybody on the teams. I was obviously teammates with everyone, but the DBs in any locker room that I've ever been in are like the clickiest because they just care about, not that they don't care about winning, but they're much more about their stats. They lock the guy down. The quarterback threw it 20 yards over the head and you get the stupid little seat belt or the incomplete. Like, dude, you got cooked. You got absolutely roasted, but the quarterback sucks. That's not you. Just, play in the moment. Play in the moment. And speaking of play in the moment, we never had a quarterback do this. Our quarterbacks that would leave the game probably got hit hard enough to warrant being taken out. I said it at the beginning. I hate how I'm just so goddamn right all the time. And I'm so right that they even deleted the evidence off the internet. I went through all of our bookmarks and I had them all saved. And nobody's there. Now, fam, we're good. We good. We know.
Very funny. It's very
Anthony
funny.
Richardson can't do that. You can't do that as a quarterback being paid the highest salary on the team and with the most. You have the most amount of grace of anybody.
Let's remember, Anthony, highest salary, he is on a rookie contract, so it's not necessarily the highest salary. But he was your top 5 pick, a guy that you had all the hope in the world for, a guy that's only played 10 or so football games with you, like whatever you said.
At double digits? I don't know
if he's at double digits at this point. Like, this is a clear message because frankly, the Colts think that they could be in the playoffs, and they think that Flacco can get them there. They think that Flacco can get them there, and they don't believe in Anthony Richardson. What kind of message does that send to the kid? Plain and simple. That, frankly, the Colts, because obviously the Titans have been very good. That division, the Texans just lost Stephon Diggs for the whole season, so they've been looking very, very weary. Texas almost beat them. Like, you are so desperate to be like, and this is where the old conversation of coaches playing for their job versus the GMs playing for their job versus the ownership. Because the ownership wants Anthony Richardson to play. But if you're Shane Steichen, if you're the Indianapolis Colts, and you're the general manager, fuck yeah, I want Joe Flacco out there. He gives me the best chance to win.
He can run an offense. He can run a legit offense.
It is going to hurt this team in the long run. They're going to have to draft a quarterback next year or the year after that because of it. And frankly, look, this is the conversation I have about the Broncos. Are the Colts going to win a Super Bowl this year?
No.
So then why is Joe Flacco playing football? I just seriously. They could make
this one specifically, because I think that they were trying to do it the right way, but the dude just can't get out of his own way. You can't get out of your own way because it not only like the fans are going to hate you, but there's very little that you can do as a football player to get the teammates to hate you. And that's one of them because you played like absolute garbage, dude. You completed 30% of your passes on average. You had one bomb pretty much every game that you played that went for a touchdown. But outside of that, you complete 5 more passes. I think that he's finished with more than 10 completions one time this season.
That was a 5-yard run he got tired on, by the way. A 5-yard run.
It's the extra weight that I'm talking about.
It's a 5-yard, and don't get me wrong, these defensive linemen are big and strong, and they tackle hard, and they're 300-pound men on your body. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong. But I think Micah Parsons hit the nail on the head when he talked about this. Fucking lie that you're tired. You don't fucking say that. Say, I got the wind knocked out of me if you're that fucking tired. If you would have came up holding your stomach, being like, I got the wind knocked out of me. Fuck, I need a breather. No, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Fucking lie. It's not difficult. It's PR 101. I work in fucking professional sports. You don't tell everybody everything. You just don't. We don't know half the shit that goes on behind the scenes. We don't. We just don't, okay? I've seen it firsthand. And I'm not going to go into detail because I'd get me fired. Like, it is just fucking lie. Just say I got winded or, hey, my shoulder felt like it popped or something. I needed it looked at. Don't say, be honest, I got tired. I mean,
I need a breather. I need a blow.
Like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, just lie. It's not difficult. People do it every fucking day. Every day, people lie on the fucking podium, okay? You think that Sean Payton and Bo Nix really were saying, I love you back and forth to one another during that throwback game when they were yelling at each other? No, just lie.
No, just don't cause a story. Don't make things bigger than they have to be.
Exactly.
We know
you're
that
the
you
face
suck.
of the franchise. You're the face of the fucking franchise. The team drafted you top 5 overall for a reason. just make sure, like, you are representing. Look, the quarterback in a city represents the fucking city. Let's not forget about that. The quarterback at a college campus represents the university. That's just the way things go. And you are representing the Indianapolis Colts, a franchise that had Peyton Manning, and had Andrew Luck, had Johnny Unitas. This is one of the most storied franchises in terms of quarterback history. And you are just not, and you are tapping your head out for a 5-yard run. Fucking lie. It's not. I cannot emphasize this enough, Jimmy. Lie. Do something else and say I'm tired. Be like, make an excuse. My fucking ankle buckled. Hey, my stomach got punched in the gut. I need a breather. I landed on the ball.
I got hit in the dick.
That is the last magician that should ever be tapping their fucking head. I don't know where he learned that, first of all, because I don't think quarterbacks even fucking learn that at any point. Don't get it out of your fucking repertoire if you're a quarterback. Don't even think about doing that. Just don't. Okay? If you're tired, you say, hey, I need a running play. Coach, call a running play. I'll hand it off and catch my breath here a second on first down the next play. You don't say, first down, bring in Flacco. I mean, like, it's as bad as you get.
Yeah, I don't think that there's much worse that he could have done in that situation. I guess maybe we'll figure it out if he ever does make his way back onto the field, but I don't see that happening anytime soon unless things go really wrong and Flacco's not able to hold up. If you saw my reaction, actually, that is it. That is the series. I can't believe it. It happened as we were live. So let's go back to our little bit of a baseball check-in. The Yankees got out of the jam that they were in. They had 2 on in the top of the 9th. The Dodgers did. The Yankees got out of it. But again,
the Yankees also had bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th and grounded out to first. So
and they just struck out swinging twice.
They had their chances. They had their chances to win this game. They had their chances to not get the trophy raised on home turf. And frankly, Juan Soto was the next guy on deck too after this, or one of the next 2 guys on deck, and he had a shot. And frankly, I don't know if I want to stick around if that's what you're going to produce. So Dodgers are a damn good team. I hate it because I don't like the Dodgers, but like I said, for guys like Freddie Freeman and who plays the game the right way, and obviously the other role players in the team, not the fucking stars. I don't like Mookie. I don't like Kike. I don't love Muncy and company. But I think Freddie Freeman in general he deserves it more than anybody. So it's unfortunate and that this World Series that everyone was hyping up was this poor. But it is what it is.
I guess maybe the Mets would have made it a better series. I have no idea. But
I don't even. No. The Guardians probably would have got swept by the Dodgers. Let's be honest with you.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. The Mets would have probably gave the Yankees run for their money. May have won it all if they were able to get past the Dodgers. But the Dodgers were easily the best team throughout the playoffs. So
Walker Buehler gets the save to win the World Series for the Dodgers today. 7-6, the final score. Dodgers win that series 4
5
games
runs
to 1.
in the top of the 6th. 5 runs on unearned runs. Insane. What a mental error by the Yankees.
You can't do that in youth baseball, let alone the MLB. Let's get into some NFL games. Let's look at the ones that we have coming up. I've had it up on the screen. Niko is 29-14. I am 26-17. So it is a total of 3 games that separates the 2 of us. We're starting on Thursday night. We were laughing about this in the car ride, both on the way to the Bronco game and sitting at the Bronco game, and also on the way home from the Bronco game. But the Jets, like, what are they gonna?
Hold on, Jimmy. Does Vegas know something? Is CJ Stroud not playing? Like, why are the Jets a favorite? Can I get a logical reason?
It shocked the shit out of me when I was doing this. I was like, that can't be right. I'm gonna double check and
that may be the biggest bet that anyone that most lopsided bet that we'll ever see in the NFL this season. Like I think the Texans money line is going to get hammered. And frankly, I'm taking a little break from betting because I need to, because I've not been performing very well. But I would be hammering Texans money there right now because I'm not sugarcoating it, Jimmy. The Jets suck. SUCK still sucks. I've been saying that for 4 fucking years since the last Halloween we recorded this show, ladies and gentlemen. And the Jets are what do you change now? Offensive coordinator.
They're going with a different uniform. They're wearing their stealth blacks.
Hey, maybe that's the difference because we thought they'd get the game back when they fired their head coach. Didn't do that. They thought, well, we changed Hackett. That didn't work. I think. Look, I would love
Brought
to
in
see
Devontae Adams. That didn't work.
that didn't work. I would love to see what the odds are that Aaron Rodgers retires midseason because they lose this game. I don't think he finishes the fucking season. And then the Jets are throwing out. I don't even know who their backup quarterback is because Zach Wilson's not even there anymore. Jimmy, Zach Wilson last year, I don't know if you remember, was 4-4 at this time last year with the Jets.
Yeah.
He was 4-4 with the same roster. The same fucking roster. They got Aaron Rodgers and they got Devontae Adams. And Zach Wilson was 4-4. Oh man, it's so funny. I enjoy it. I love it. I love seeing the Jets downfall. They that is the worst franchise in all sports, and frankly, not even close. And it is absolutely hilarious. And look, if they get this game back, congratulations. Good. You got a game back on you. Got a game back on me. I'm happy for you, Jets fans. Dom, throw the fucking parade. Your team is back for one more week. This team is. I hate that they're on fucking national TV every week. I am going to put a note into the NFL saying, hey, take this team out of fucking prime time. We are the Sunday night game this week was the first game that's been flexed all year. The Vikings Colts was flexed. Flex these bums out of these games because I am done having to sit there and watch this team sorry ass of a franchise on my screen. That green is ugly. Those chrome helmets are ugly. That coaching staff is ugly. That quarterback is hideous. This team is ass. I am done with them. I want to make a vote right now that if the Jets are on primetime again, we pick another game because that's how bad this team is. And I hate the fact that we are giving them our breath of air talking about them because how poor they are.
We're also going to get another terrible performance by Al Michaels because this game is not going to be a good game. Especially, it'll be interesting to see. I think if I had to guess, Vegas wants to make a little bit of money back from that weekend that they reportedly had the worst weekend in 3 years. But this is also a little bit like the Texans haven't looked great, and losing Stephon Diggs might not necessarily be the best thing in the world. But I am with you. I don't think that the Jets are the team that is going to stand up and beat the Texans. I think that the Texans may end up losing a game in the future. But this one, it's just not.
They lost to the fucking Patriots. I showed you that meme as we were driving home from the game. It's the Michael Scott meme of him shaking the previous manager's hands, like the Patriots with the lowest hope of all time this season. The Jets was the biggest hope of all time or of recent memory. Both 2-6, shaking their hands. Wild, absolutely wild.
I think it'll be interesting to see how things shake out moving forward. The Bengals screwed you over last weekend because they got their absolute shit wrecked against Philly. I'm glad that I didn't pick them last week, but this week they are 7-point favorites. It's at home. They are winless at home, but it's the Raiders, right? We should be able to take care of business against the Raiders.
So bad. The Raiders are so bad. I'll just put me down for the Bengals. I don't know if you're going to try to fade them, but the Raiders are horrible. Absolutely horrendous. I don't know what this team thinks that they are. Antonio Pierce is. I hope you had your nice little fun in the sun there, and got to hype this team up and smoke cigars in the locker room after that 8-9 end of the season last year because this team sucks. This team sucks. It's bad. It's bad. They are on a highway to Shedeur Sanders and not looking back. They are trying to actively lose. Seriously, they are trying to actively lose. The Bengals somehow lose this game. I mean, this is we say it every fucking week, Jimmy. This is the nail of the coffin, right? It has to be.
I think the coffin's already been nailed. Playoffs are a long shot right now.
This is the dirt being put into it, right? It has to be.
Well, it should be, but it's not going to be. The coach is going to be there for another season. I can already feel it. I feel it in my bones. I've done this for too long. I've done this for too long where I know the coach needs to be gone, and it's very evident because obviously – I mean, it's not like the Eagles were the Eagles of the past. This is not the Eagles that made it to the Super Bowl and started off 10-0. This is a team that's been struggling. They have just as many question marks surrounding their head coach. And they came into your house last week and you're all white and you looked like absolute soft baby shit. That's exactly what you looked like. And we're just expecting, I mean, it's a bounce back. That's what it is. They are not making the playoffs. I am.
Well,
People give me shit for jumping off the team when you were all hyped with Burrow and then you jump off. Motherfucker, I sat through here with years of shit. Like, this is just the tipping point. This is the tip of the iceberg. You have no idea how big this thing sits underneath the surface. So I'm tired of, I get a lot of shit for that, I am well warranted. I'm not fading them this week because I have that little faith in the Raiders, but I don't think this is not the team that I was expecting coming into the season, and this is not a team that's turning it around. This is not a team that's figured anything out. Zach Taylor still sucks as a head coach. The team is still soft and will give up as many plays as it takes for them to lose a game.
Yeah, wearing the all whites, it's very fitting when you're all white and you look like a piece of toilet paper because you're Charmin Ultra Soft.
Yes. No, I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. I said it. I said the same thing. That's what they were. They should have had those little animated bears out there with Joe Burrow's jersey. Like, hey, you're not using that. Can I use that? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We're soft. Broncos and Ravens. We were at the Bronco game over the weekend. We know that the Panthers suck. I was surprised that Franklin didn't end up being your bench warmer of the week because that dude.
I'll give the guy some slack. You know,
He
he
plays
got
for the
the captain.
Panthers, so I guess he does
The
deserve it.
Panthers. He knows his team sucks. I think he's just trying to get another contract somewhere else.
And he's the captain too, so he's got to hype up.
I'm pretty sure he does that in every city that the Panthers playing in to try and say, "Come fucking find me," because I'm a decent not even halfway decent, because he dropped the punt catch on fourth down, so the fake punt anyway. So maybe he's not even that useful. But yeah, like I told you we should dominate this game, and we did. We made. Look, the receivers are a problem. But we talked about receivers and tight ends are still a problem. Troutman had a great catch in the back of the end zone, National Tight Ends Day. But 2 receivers fumbled the ball. Not even your fucking running back. Receiver that, if you fumble the ball receiver, you don't get another target for another fucking 3 weeks. And we had our number 1 receiver, Cortland Sutton, fumble at the end of the game. And then little Jordan Humphrey, obviously, first drive of the game, fumble. Like, it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. It sucks. I hate that kind of football because Sean Payton's heated about it. And Panthers fans, you want to cry about it that Sean Payton ran up the score. They're trying to teach this team good habits, and frankly, habits that you don't fucking have. And you remember those habits when you did the riding the pony thing after you scored the first touchdown and yelling at our whole bench? That is not a winning habit. Winning habit is running it down your fucking throat and not giving you any air to breathe. And that's what the Broncos did, and throwing some wrinkles out there with a double pass and a QB sneak on the goal line with just throwing the ball over it. We dominated the team. That Panthers team is the worst team in the league, and they'll be drafting a quarterback next year. Sorry, Bryce Young. Sorry, Panthers fans. Welcome to your reality. But look, I was very impressed by Bo Nix. Obviously, this is the game that game against Panthers was Bo Nix's chance to get momentum into these next 3 weeks. Because these next 3 weeks on the road against Baltimore this weekend, on the road in Kansas City, and then at home against Atlanta. Those are 3 playoff caliber teams, 2 teams that are championship hopeful teams. The Falcons, obviously, a very good team as well. Like this is your meteor schedule. If you can get this is the goal, in my opinion. If you can get 2 out of the 3 games, next 3 upcoming games, you have a shot at the 5 seed, and you are and being a secure wild card team. Like, you're not playing with your food because you are 5-3 right now. If you can get to 7-4 and be 2 wins away from that, when you get to the easier part of the schedule, playing the Raiders again, no offense, playing the Bengals later in the season, playing the Browns, like you have these games coming up that with teams that have faltered and not been very good. If you can get through the meat of your schedule with a positive record right now, you are set up for a lot of success and a lot of future success too. So, and look, the trade deadline is next Tuesday. Obviously, we'll talk about if trades go down. By the time we record or next time we record our show, we'll talk about trades go down. But at this point, there's a couple options here because I think that I saw some reports that they were shopping Cooper and they're shopping Browning, which I think they need to do. I think there's a real because Benito has had 6 sacks in the last 6 games. He's been very good. Jonah Ellis has really come on strong. And when you lose Cooper and Browning to just free agency, just walking because you can't physically pay them, you need to try to get something back. And that's the same thing that goes for Javonte Williams, in my opinion, here. Because Javonte has had some really solid games, don't get me wrong. Really solid games. But if you can get a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick for Javonte and get a 7th round pick for Browning or Cooper, that's going to help you. Because let's not forget, this team has to pay only a certain amount of
picks and they need cap space.
Picks and cap space. And if we get rid of Javonte, we trade Cooper or Browning or both of them, we gain like $15 million. Or trade Reynolds as well, who got shot in the fucking shot in wherever a couple weeks ago because he's a guy a really playoff contender could use as a good pass catcher. Trade them. You can free up $15 million of cap space. Jimmy, this team has $75 million of cap space next year. With everything that they've done with having to get rid of Russ and all this with that massive cap hit, they have one of the biggest cap spaces for going to next season. So look, you're gonna have to sign Bulls because obviously all signs are pointing to that. You can sign a T. You can sign. You can try to sign another defensive. You can try to re-sign Zach Allen. You have that cap space, but unfortunately, with positions where you're developing young weapons already or young guys that are very, very good, you're going to have to get rid of them. And I think that whether or not the Broncos lose this game against the Ravens won't really change how they feel going into the trade line. I think they're either already decided, hey, we're buyers, hey, we're sellers, or hey, we like where we're at this position. We can get rid. These guys are expendable. So I don't think really this game will have that effect on it. I will go and say that they will lose this football game, and I'll tell you why. I don't think the Ravens are going to lose 2 in a row. I hate it. I hate it. I think the Broncos can cover 9.5, but I don't think that we're fully prepared yet for this Ravens team, because there's one team in the NFL you cannot make a mistake against. It's the Baltimore Ravens. You cannot make mental errors for receivers fumbling the ball. You cannot make defensive errors, holding penalties that get them a first down in the red zone. You cannot do those type of things against the Ravens because they will punish you. They will punish you. So I'm a little worried about that. I will take the Ravens this week because I'm trying to win this pick'em. But I hope we do win, obviously.
This was gonna be the game that I went opposite. I'm glad that I don't have to pick the Ravens. It is going to be, I mean, it's no easy task, but think about the last really solid team that this Broncos team has faced. I'm not going to count the Chargers because there was a lot of external things like injuries that they were battling through. But if you go back to that Tampa game on the road, they had a good scheme. They had the ability to make the other team press a little bit. They took advantage, didn't make that many mistakes. Bo Nix has been playing very mistake-free football, at least keeping the ball for the offense. He's not turning it over and giving the other side an extra shot. You're getting some turnovers from other spots, but the Ravens don't play well against the AFC. And I did not expect them to lose last week, but I guess that was the one bump that Cleveland is going to get with Jameis. Play for the decal on our helmet. Wait a second. We don't have any decals on our helmet.
Play for the names on the front of your jersey.
There's a white boy from Detroit named Eminem. Yeah, no shit. We all know who you're talking about, dude. Get to the point. One shot, mom spaghetti. Yeah, don't miss your chance to blow. No, I guess I'm going on vibes. I'll be that one guy. I'm trying to get one back. It would be cool to get one back on you with the Broncos.
And like I said, that's a game that I'd happily get back. So
I'm sure that you would. I think if in my head, I think win this week, loss against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and then win at home against the Falcons, and you go 1-1-1 through this 3-game stretch. That's what I'm hoping for, I guess, and that's what I'm seeing with this. Hopefully I get a game back on the pick'em. Sunday Night Football, the Colts and Vikings, you mentioned it. It got flexed. It moved to this spot. The Vikings coming off that Thursday night game with the egregious missed face mask in the end zone. Not necessarily saying that was the deciding factor in the game because you still have to go 85 yards after that 15-yard penalty gets called, but obviously it ended the game a lot quicker. The Rams, though, are in a weird spot because they got Puka and Kupp back that same week, and the Vikings, we mentioned it. I was telling you and your dad in the truck on the way to the game. Apparently, if you play the Lions this week, whether you win or lose this year, the next week you just end up losing. That's been every game for the Lions that they've played, the last 6 opponents.
We haven't picked a lot of Lions games. Put these motherfuckers on prime.
We should. I guess
now
that we have the
fucking Jets.
Yeah, now that we made that rule, I can do that. We can put more Lions games on there. But for this one, Sunday Night Football game, who do you got? Colts with Joe Flacco? Or the Vikings.
Sorry to backtrack. To add my pick for the Ravens for the win, the power of Joe Flacco is running through the NFL. The Ravens are going to be playing good football. Shout out Stavros, one of the funniest Baltimore guys in the world. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you go look him up. It's hilarious.
It's just something I miss about Flacco.
Something about Flacco. When Flacco's playing good, the Ravens are playing good. Doesn't matter where, but the Ravens will be playing good football when Joe Flacco's playing. I'm going to go Vikings here. I can't see with this Colts team. I really can't. And I really want them to dig themselves their own grave here and make it even worse and have Flacco just have a poor performance. Or next week they try to go back to Anthony Richardson, or the week after that try to go back to him. Look, as much shit as we give the Colts and Anthony Richardson, another thing that baffles me with not starting him, and then I forgot to talk about, was this motherfucker hasn't played a lot of football. It hurts him more not playing football than it does helping, right? It absolutely does. You're like you've gone on and on about that. He needs to play football. It hurts him more to not play. It absolutely does. And frankly, I think Flacco is just getting. He's as surprised as anybody that he's still fucking playing. You
imagine his shock when he saw Anthony tapping his head though on Sunday.
Oh my God! He was like, "Do I need to start warming up?" He said, "Do I? Oh, I gotta go out there and run a play."
The body ain't feeling right. I don't know if I can do this.
My gosh, insane! Look, I don't.
Anthony, I'm 38 years old. You got to give me a 2-week notice.
It's no. This game will be played in November. It's November when this game is being played, and the year's 2024. Joe Flacco in prime time. We're not doing this. The Vikings are a better football team than the Colts. I'll take the Vikings.
Flacco's already won his game for the Colts. Like we mentioned, the backup quarterback normally gives the team a bump for one game, and that's already happened. Moving forward to Monday Night Football, this game lost a lot of its luster because of the injuries. Obviously, that's the reason why the line looks the way that it does. Normally don't see 14-point lines in the NFL, or 9-point lines, 10-point lines. We saw it one time last week, but plus 340 underdog for the Bucks in Kansas City. Chiefs haven't looked good, but it seems like this might be, unless they're looking ahead to possibly playing a better Broncos team, I don't see the Chiefs faltering at this point because they have not played well. They have not played a complete game. They want to look good and want to solidify this possible three-peat that they might be on.
I mean, it's not impossible. It's very real. Like seriously, I as much as it pains me to say, it's like we're looking down the schedule of this team, like who's going to be the one to beat them. Like, don't get me wrong, the Broncos have been very, very good. We're going to find out this weekend very quickly if the Broncos could test the Chiefs in 2 weeks, I think. Because the Broncos did not play very well against the Chargers, another divisional opponent. And like there's a lot of things that could end up very, very poorly for this Broncos team if they do play the Chiefs. The Chiefs just seem to be playing teams that are worse, and they're just continue to coast. Travis Kelce has first touchdown of the year last week. So look, the Chiefs are they're losing guys, right? They lost Pacheco for part of the season for an injury. They lost Rashee Rice, obviously, for the whole season, and they can continue to get better. So that's the very, very scary part. And the Buccaneers, man, talk about a team that can't get healthy. No offense to Baker, no Godwin, no Mike Evans, like Rashad White, and Bucky Irving as your main weapons is not going to beat the Chiefs at home. So I'll take the Chiefs as well.
It's the Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield show. Bucky's been great. He's had a great rookie season, but he needs his weapons on the outside. That team needs their weapons on the outside. I don't think Todd Bowles will know what to do now that those guys are gone. It hurts my fantasy team too. So Buccaneers fans, I feel your pain. But we are, we're all here. We're all trying to figure things out. Moving forward, we're wrapping things up here. That is our pick'em. Just as a reminder, we are presented by Find the Good Brand for our pick'em. FindTheGoodBrand.com. Use promo code BENCH, BENCH. Our picks, both on the Texans, both on the Bengals. I have the Broncos. You have the Ravens. We're both on the Vikings, and we are both on the Chiefs. So now moving into the last bit of our show here on this Halloween special edition, we have player, play, and bench warmer of the week. Let's start with bench warmer of the week because it's relevant. Goes back to our World Series. For me, my bench warmer of the week this week is Aaron Judge. Everybody has said something about Aaron Judge. So I guess I'm adding my hat into that ring. But I will give you this. There is nobody that is more professional in broadcasting that I know than Christian Saez. We've had him on our 200 episode, talked a little bit about it. He's the guy that got me into the radio station. He was on the DNVR channels, and he made a very, at what point do you stop getting the grace for not showing up in the big moments? You are the face of this franchise. You are the guy. You're who everybody shows up in the Bronx to watch. Yet when the moment matters, when it's October baseball, you aren't Reggie Jackson. You become a little league player and you can't do anything. And good on you. You hit a couple bombs in game 4 to extend the series so that the Dodgers ended up winning in 5, but it's too little too late. Where was that in the beginning? Aaron Judge is my bench warmer of the week. I don't think that you can justify the performance that he put on in this playoff.
No, I don't blame you. Obviously, he had a better game 4 and a good start to game 5, but he's the a guy that more than likely is going to win the AL MVP and a guy that is a massive piece of their offense, a massive piece of the team. And frankly, if I'm Juan Soto and I'm Garrett Cole that played their hearts out, and I look at this is our leader, this is the guy who's supposed to have the C on their chest like Jeter did all those years. It adds worrisome. Adds worrisome. I'll go ahead and throw my basketball hat into the ring because I do like to try and keep things low key at the beginning of the season, not over exaggerate losses at the beginning of the year or like the Avs who started 0-4 last week or obviously won 5 in a row. So things turned around very quickly. Lost on Monday night. I think they're I don't know what the score is tonight, but I think they lost tonight too. Like so things are getting back on track for the Avs. Nuggets are 2-2, but 2 overtime wins. And my God, does this bench suck? This Denver Nuggets bench is probably the worst I've ever seen. I hand up. Dario Saric sucks. That's on me. I fumbled that badly. I said Saric is going to be the key piece to this fucking team 3 weeks ago, and that this guy is going to be a difference maker, and he can knock down open shots, play defense. The motherfucker has 3 points in 4 games, and he's a -30 overall. Jimmy, you and I have done as much as Dario Saric has done in 4 games. We are basically padding the same fucking stats out here, okay? Like he has been so unbelievably bad. And then let me start with, I'm not going to call him Westbrook yet, but I just want to put the name out there. I'm not going to call him that because Westbrook deserves his name because after the performance on Monday, or maybe it was Tuesday night. Monday or Tuesday night when they played Brooklyn, he went off for 22, but the motherfucker was a -38 in 40 games. Yes, he was a -1 in the win against Toronto and a -0 or in a net 0 in Brooklyn. But everyone knows that I'm a big plus-minus guy. The motherfucker was a -36 through 2 games. 2 games. I went to the opener last week. That's why we recorded on Wednesday last week and didn't do live on Thursday last week. I went to the home opener on Thursday, and I watched Russell Westbrook airball his first 3. And then I saw him drive the lane 1-on-4 with Jokic wide open on the other side of the fucking layup. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be a long year. That's the way I can fucking put it. I don't. I mean, look, Westbrook was a lot better in these last 2 games. I think he's taken on that leadership role. But man, this team cannot fucking shoot to save their lives. I am so worried. There is not a Michael Porter Jr. has a tough start to the year. Luckily, AG and Jokic have been on absolutely insane runs thus far and really helped us in Jamal's a couple of games too. But this bench is going to give me fucking nightmares all season long. It is Halloween and I am this scared of this bench already. It is bad. It's very bad.
Well, we tried to be optimistic. So far, it's been hard. Moving
We're
on
2-2. It could be worse. We're 2-2, but I expect greatness out of this team. That's all I'm going to say.
Moving on to play of the week, let's talk about greatness. You have UFC, so I'll let you kick things off. What happened over the weekend?
Everyone knows that I got to throw in the UFC every single weekend. That's just my thing. Last week, I hyped up Max Holloway fight week because Max Holloway puts on some of the most banger, using Sheamus's quote, bangers of fights every single weekend he fights. It's a must-watch TV. And Ilia Topuria was the first man in 30 fights, 29 exactly, 29 fights now. Max Holloway has never been knocked down. Not only did he knock him down, he knocked him out cold, out like a light. And I have gained a lot more respect and a lot more notoriety for Ilia Topuria. This guy, I've seen the videos. He's a great jiu-jitsu guy. He's great off his back. He knows how to wrestle. He obviously has the power in that weight division that can knock anybody out. If you can knock out Max Holloway, you can knock out anybody. Okay, let's keep it very, very buck. Max Holloway has one of the best chins in UFC history. And, man, I was very, very impressed. Obviously, it's a tough weekend for those that didn't see Robbie Whitaker's teeth in the back of his fucking throat, and the fight before by Hamzat, and then obviously Max Holloway getting knocked out for us long time fight fans. It sucked. It was a bad weekend, but that shows the new wave of what Hamzat Chimaev has been, and obviously what Ilya Topuria is going to continue. So I got to give Topuria some love with the KO of Max Holloway.
If you didn't see it, I'm not going to look it up because I don't need
So
to put
like I said,
anything else. But
I know it's spooky season, but if you have a weak stomach, do not look it up. Okay.
Art the Clown wouldn't have thought to twist the jaw like that. And I was talking to your dad before you got back to your apartment on Sunday, and obviously he's big into jiu-jitsu and he rolls. He's like, dude, the neck crank is way worse. Like sometimes you just can't get under the throat for the choke, but the neck crank is like the next best thing, and sometimes it's worse. And when your jaw dislocates inside, it moves your teeth. You have to like fix you good. You went through braces. Nice. You're going to go through braces again. We're going to have to put those bad boys. We're going to reset that, wire that braces. Shut.
It's fucking screws in your jaw to keep it placed. Like it's like,
can he fight again?
I don't like that's a 2-year break. I think that's a long time. That might be a career-ending injury, as weird as it sounds, because it's a freak injury, but that's how weak your jaw becomes, and that's a long time. And Robbie's had a great career, and it's fortunate that he was in a division with a lot of greats, and Usman, and obviously Izzy as well, and a lot of great fighters that he's had to face over the years. But man, I poor Robbie. That's such a tough one. I'd be very surprised if I saw him before 2026, as I'm keeping it buck with you. I think it's a long recovery.
My play of the week, I'm not going to go too much into it because we talked about the other side, but Jaden Daniels, if I was a Commanders fan, I would be riding high after that Hail Mary win. I know that it shouldn't have happened, and there's some things that you need to shore up. The defense looked okay. The offense struggled, but I think Jaden Daniels is proving, at least for this season, that he may end up having a little bit of CJ Stroud in him. I'm not going to say that it's going to continue on this way, but right now he looks really good, and they ended up winning.
Jaden Daniels looks like the best quarterback of this draft so far. Looks better than Caleb Williams. Bo Nix, I would say, is the third, if not second. He's been about even with Caleb Williams. And frankly, if CJ Stroud wasn't named in that last year's draft, he'd be the best quarterback the last 2 years. And that's not even close because like I said, there's no slight to last year's draft, but 2 of those quarterbacks have already been benched, Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young. So Jaden Daniels looks like Commanders got themselves a good one.
I'll finish up with player of the week. I'm going with Marcel Reed, quarterback for Texas A&M, the one who came in, saved the day, got the 15-point victory in in College Station on Saturday night, but he had 3 rushing touchdowns in the second half, over 70 yards rushing on those carries. He was the only one that LSU's defense wasn't able to stop, and he got everything rolling in the right direction. Who knows what's going to happen with the quarterback situation moving forward, but I trust in Mike Elko. I've already called my shot about Texas A&M. Marcel Reed gets a little bit more love as my player of the week. You're giving it to Freeman, obviously. Did he win Series MVP?
He did win World Series MVP. 4 home runs in the first 4 games, obviously. 12 RBIs in the World Series, tied for the most of all time by a single person in a World Series, and he only played 5 games. Like Freddie Freeman, and like I said, he had 6 home runs, and obviously not counting Game 5, which just happened. Up until Game 4, he had 6 home runs in his last 6 World Series games. People forget those last 2 games of the World Series where the Braves won. He hit homers in those 2. He is big time Freddie. And for those that don't know the story, obviously his son has had a really tough year, and his family went through a lot. Going through. I'm not going to butcher the name of the disease, but I know they had some really tough times throughout the season where he had to miss time, and to have this stage where he is born for it. Like I said, it's not Ohtani, it's not Betts, it's the guy that's been there, done that, and done it on the big stage. And Freddie Freeman is the man, and he deserves Player of the Week, that's for sure.
I agree. I think that it's cool to see some of these athletes, what they're able to overcome. I know that he recently went through a lot with his dad too, and that's a tough situation. So good for Freddie Freeman. I'm not going to say good for the Dodgers, but he's one of the good guys that you enjoy seeing win. If he was somebody who retired, never having won a World Series, that would be a disappointment. The fact that he's going to retire a 2-time World Series champion and playing
2-time World Series MVP,
and he's played in 3, so he's one of the greats that this era has been able to produce in a time where baseball hasn't been all that popular. Freddie Freeman is still doing a very good job of getting himself moving forward. That's going to bring us to the end of the show. What do you got for the end of the Spooktober Spectacular?
happy Halloween. Be safe. Be smart. It's getting colder. Fall weather is apparently upon us. And like I said, we had our sports equinox this past Monday where we had baseball, we had football, we had basketball, and we had hockey. We're not going to get that Monday this year because baseball's done already. So thank you, Yankees, for ruining that. Where we only had it one day this fall, but yeah, it's the best time of the year. So obviously, we have a lot of football and basketball, and hockey to talk about in the coming months and coming weeks. And Halloween may be over, but you and I both know this is our favorite time of the year. We love Thanksgiving football. We love Christmas time with family. The holiday season is just picking up, so we were very, very excited. Get your spooky out, get your fun times out, and then let's start blasting Mariah Carey. All I want for Christmas is you, baby.
Yeah. It's almost that time. I'm going to finish off before I give everybody the socials one more time and we get everybody sent off to the end of their week. Couple shout outs. Western Colorado deserves a shout out. They made the college game day. That was one of the notable other headlines. They were going into Colorado Mines, a place they had not won in 8 years. Not only did they win, they won by 11. They are still undefeated, holding their own destiny in their hands. They win out the rest of their schedule. They are RMAC champions for the 21st time in program history. They are hosting a playoff game. This team looks like they are, figuring some things out. Now they're able to take that next step. Big game coming up in Gunnison this weekend against CSU Pueblo. And I'm going to give a shout out to both my middle school wrestling team for our big win on Wednesday night and the Bach State Bruins starting the playoffs this weekend on the road to Tulsa for our national tournament. So I got a lot of big things coming up coaching wise. Love the athletes that I've been able to work with all throughout my sports over this last year. And I'm excited to see what they're able to do now that playoffs are starting to get real and the wrestling season is right around the corner. So that's all I have. Be sure to follow at FEOTB Pod, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, share us out to all of your friends. If you think somebody would enjoy listening to our two dumbasses, please point them to our show and point them to our channels and everything like that. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host Niko Bryan, happy Halloween. Stay safe. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.